Here's a question for you. Have you ever wanted that product, that holiday, that ambition, that job, that dream, but you knew it was far away? Yeah, I think it's safe to say everybody's wanted that. In the 1990s, in 1994, 1995, the word Ibiza was at the forefront of the dance music industry. Every DJ wanted to be there. Yeah, including me. And I think what really gave me that ambition to go there was buying the magazines, buying the CDs. It was the music scene, it was the lifestyle that every DJ that wanted to be there. I was in my very early 20s way back in 1994, 1995. And I'd be listening to all these CDs from Ibiza Classics and Euphoria and things like that. And, you know, that was the sound I wanted to play. And it'd be like, if you can conquer Ibiza, you can conquer New York. And if you can conquer New York, the concrete city, you can conquer anywhere. But for me, it was just about having that lifestyle and playing the tunes that I like to play. Well, you know, it never happened, especially in 1994. It wasn't until 10 years later. So the year comes around, 2004, is a year I don't think I'll ever forget. Wakes up one morning, takes the kids to school, goes into the town centre. My girlfriend goes one direction, I goes another direction, and goes into WH Smith. And normally what I do is I pick up a magazine and read it back to front, check out all the adverts, see what everybody's selling, and see what's really going on before we actually kind of like check out any of the content. At the back of the magazine, there's a massive advert. It reads, DJs wanted for Ibiza 2004 season. Drinks paid, flights paid, accommodation provided. I'm thinking to myself, who on earth in the right mind is going to apply for this? Certainly ain't going to be me. So I put the magazine down, left WH Smith and went to go and find my girlfriend who was kind of like around town at the time. So I get back to the house and a few hours have gone by and I'm preparing myself this demo to go and work on a radio station. I've got 10 CDs, I've got 10 CVs, I've got 10 stamps, but there's only 9 radio stations that I can actually think of in my area. So I'm kind of thinking to myself, right, okay then, which direction am I going in? I'm going to work for this radio station, that radio station, or the other. And within my spirit, as clear as day, you're not going to work on a radio, you're going to Ibiza. I knew exactly what it was that I heard, and I slammed my fist down on the desk and I went, I ain't going to Ibiza. Then, all of a sudden, my spirit detached from its body. Took me all the way back down to WH Smith where I saw myself turning the pages, and I saw the advert in full view. DJs wanted for Ibiza 2004. There's no telephone number on there, there's an email address. I sees this email address, and as I'm sat there at the computer, I'm writing this down on a piece of paper. So as I comes back to myself, I gets a little bit frustrated, slams my fist down on the desk and says, I ain't going to Ibiza, no chance at all. So after kind of like submitting and hearing what I was actually hearing, I decided to apply. I'm looking at this piece of paper with this email address on there, and I sends it off. Well, a couple of hours had gone by, and I get a reply from this guy. And it goes something like, Hi Alistair, can you send us a professional biography, a recent photograph of yourself, a telephone number so we can contact you, a 2-hour live performance of you playing out live at your gig, and 50 of the best records that you will have in your playlist that will pack out any dance floor. I'm looking at these requests and I said, and you really want me to go to Ibiza, dear? So I send off these CDs, 9 to radio stations across West Yorkshire and 1 CD to go all the way down to London. And the request that this guy wanted all the way from London is not what he got. He got a square pink post-it note with the most scruffiest handwriting on there. 10 songs from ABBA to Erasure to the Communards. No photograph. No biography. The scruffiest handwriting you could ever find with a pink and purple felt tip pen. And a demo CD for an air check for a radio station. 60 seconds long. That was it. You want me to go to Ibiza? Get me there then. That was my attitude. So a couple of weeks have passed by and all the rejection letters from all the radio stations came back to me. Nope, you're not qualified. Nope, we don't want to know you. Then all of a sudden, I get a phone call. And it goes like this. Hey, Alistair, how you doing? You're supposed to send me a professional biography, a photograph of yourself, and a 2-hour demo, not like 30 seconds. But thanks very much. I don't think you're coming to Ibiza. Beep. Put the phone down. So a couple of days had gone by and my girlfriend turned around to me. She says, are you going for that job in Ibiza? Oh, have you got that job? I'm like, yeah. They called me up. They want me to go down to London to have an audition. I'm thinking to myself at the back of my mind, you lying toe rag. That's exactly what it was like. So a couple of days had gone by and I got this telephone call. He goes, Alistair, how you doing? It's Jonathan. Do you fancy coming down to London to have a bit of an audition and so we can see who you are? I'm like, yeah, all right, if you want me to. Yeah. Okay, next week? I'm fine. Yep, cool. Puts the phone down and the Holy Spirit speaks to me. Get your passports and get your suitcases and get ready to go to Ibiza. It was just like that. It was so clear, so precise. My girlfriend turned around to me, she goes, oh, without phone? I says, that's the guy who wants me to hire me to go to Ibiza. He wants me to go down to London next week. And she's like, oh, okay. So a week had passed by and I get onto the train and the Holy Spirit starts to speak to me again. Get your passport, get your luggage sorted, you're going to Ibiza. I knew exactly what it is that I heard and that was the confirmation that I needed. So 3 hours later, I arrives in London. King's Cross. Guy comes up to me, huge black guy, says, Alistair. I went, yep. He says, I'm Jonathan. Walks down this aisle, walks down this road, into this side cafe, and sits down and had a cup of coffee. He turns around to me and he says, the reason why we've asked you to come down is because you're very mysterious. We asked you to send a 2-hour demo, a professional biography, and a photograph, and you've done none of the sorts. He says, why haven't you done this? I said, I didn't have one available. He says, we also needed to see who you were and what you kind of like looked like. He says, because we're looking for a little bit of eye candy. I went, all right, okay. He says, but don't get your hopes up. There's 1,000 applicants and I don't think you're going to make the job. But thank you very much for coming down, shook my hand, and I went all the way back to Halifax. I gets on the train, the Holy Spirit speaks to me. Get your passports, get your luggage, your cases, and get ready. You're going to Ibiza. Gets all the way back into Halifax, and my girlfriend turns around to me and she goes, how did the interview go? I says, I'm going to Ibiza in 2 months. I says, I'm number one jock. She went, really? I says, yeah. Knowing farewell that the guy said, don't build your hopes up. There's 1,000 entries. You ain't going to make it. So I'm kind of thinking to myself, well, I might as well do exactly what I've heard, get my passport, get everything sorted out and get ready to go. So several weeks have gone by and I've heard nothing from the guys. And a lot of my friends are egging me on, oh, Alistair, when are you going to Ibiza? You're leaving a couple of weeks, don't you? It's a case of like, well, how do you get out of this now? Holy Spirit says you're going, and that guy says, don't build up your hopes, you might not make it. So a couple of weeks before the actual due day starts, it was in May of 2004. I get absolutely nothing. No calls, no emails, no communication at all. So about a week later, I get a phone call. Alistair, it's Jonathan. Yeah? You're coming to Ibiza. This is your flight number. We're going to send it to you on an email. Julian will get back in contact with you tomorrow. You're on the plane. So I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Full steam ahead. So I did hear right. I knew I was going. I stepped out in faith. I did what the Holy Spirit told me to do. But there's one question that remains. Why did God send me to Ibiza in 2004? Any ideas? Part 2 coming soon.